recording right now. I'm panicking. My phone's not recording. Okay, it's recording. Okay, do you want to do a prayer? Thank you, universe, for this opportunity to give back to our community. Merry Christmas. I guess the universe celebrates Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to the universe.
Merry festivities. Positivity. Good vibes.
It broke.
Amén.
I have one sip of the gasolina.
Porque me gusta la gasolina.
Exactly.
Salud, dinero y amor. Perfect. She'll be the director.
She's literally in the middle of the camera. I can't. How can I get a podcast studio? I have to do it here because she wants to be a part of it. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. You want to sit in my lap? Okay.
We're all just human.
Exactly. We're all just animals. We're all just babies.
Souls.
Like we were talking about the other day.
Exactly, yes. We gotta all treat each other like babies. At the very least, not have any hostility or harbor any hostility towards a
We have
child.
empathy for them as if they were a child. I can see that, yes. Like, okay, you're just a poor human being, just a poor human child that just doesn't know how to express your feelings in any kind of real or meaningful way.
Which is all of us.
Besides, bleh. Well,
until we educate
exactly.
ourselves.
Some of us
effort.
do know how.
It takes effort and a discipline, and it's a constant everyday practice to be civilized
It does.
as an animal.
It is a practice, exactly.
Not to feel ashamed of our animalistic tendencies, but to be aware so that we can overcome them.
See, a lot of those things, though, I don't think are animalistic tendencies. I think those are, like, tendencies that we've developed as a society. Like, not as, because, like, our animalistic tendencies, sure, we could be, like, angry or whatever, but even so, animals feel emotions and they flow through them. That's why I think, like, the flowing through the emotions is why, like, you get, like, these things trapped inside of you which can turn into disease, whatever, all these other things. Not that somebody necessarily gets a disease they caused it, but I'm just saying, like, you know, it can turn into these like bad manifestations, manifestations. Physiological, mental, exactly, all spiritual, like, and that happens because we're not just allowing ourselves to feel the emotion and flow through it and not attach to it. Like, so many people that have, like, that are uncomfortable to be around is, for me, because they lack the ability to just feel their emotion and then flow into the next one. So they get stuck in one.
They're uncomfortable with themselves.
Yeah. And, like, a lot of people are addicted to being angry or addicted to being annoyed or addicted to being frustrated. So they'll always find a way to get back to being annoyed, angry, or frustrated. Like, and they won't stay in any other emotion too long. Or, like, that's, like, their baseline emotion. So a lot of us, I think, like, have a baseline emotion.
Right.
Of whatever that is. I don't know.
Well, when I always like to, you know, come back to the consensus that that's everybody, but also to clarify, it's everybody at different moments, right? Because everybody has a specific problem, and that's usually a consistent issue or chronic emotion, an emotional body that they identify with on a consistent basis.
Let's pull a card. Do you want to pull a card for the...
Yes.
I, like, often, like, think of, like, ancient peoples who, like, looked into the fire, and, like, that's why they also, like, fire is so spiritual too, but, like, they would, you know, get these visions around the, like, looking into the fire, and it's because, maybe they actually had, like, you know, visions or were doing psychedelics or other things, but, like, I also think that they were looking at the imagery that the coals were giving them, and they were making interpretations off of the coals. I mean, there's societies that still do that, so... Yeah, but Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Trust your intuition.
Michael, how are you going to trust your intuition this year?
This year, I'm going to trust my intuition by putting my all in the Yunque eco habitats
Okay.
in Naguabo, Puerto Rico.
Is that the name of your business?
That is the name of the, it's a 5-acre property that we're looking to, little by little, fortify into this homestead, basically. Self-sufficient, off-the-grid, renewable energy, with the main focus of cohabiting and not only bringing visitors, but also to educate them on the value of the human relationship with nature. And then it just so happens to be beneficial to our mental health as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it is therapy, basically. So even if you're not really looking to support the ecosystem, at the very least we could benefit with our connection with nature. It's undeniable and indisputable that we need to actually rely on nature and what's it called? Support it.
I think, yeah,
Defend
exactly. We are nature. Exactly. So if we're not, yeah, you can get what you want from nature, but nature, I think, has an intuition too. So if you're not giving back to it, is it really going to give to you? Like, if people come out to your land and they decide to work for you there, and their heart's not in it, and they're just doing
it's not going to be an enjoyable experience.
Exactly. They're not going to get the kind of therapy that they might be looking for, because their intention isn't in the right place. I think, like, if they came with the intention of, like, okay, like, yeah, sure, I'm giving back to the community, giving back to the land, but, like, I find a lot of, like, importance in, like, being really present, especially when you're with nature. Like, putting your hands, doing physical labor. I used to work on the California trail systems, and, like, that was the most rewarding work I feel like I've ever done. It's also the most hard labor I've ever done, but it was so rewarding to see. I think you've talked about this too, like, the fruits of your labor, to see, like, the visual effects of, like, your work that your labor does on the environment.
The quantifiable.
I know you said you spent a lot of time out there with, like, the machete, clearing things, like.
But the goal is to implement the edible garden, which will include, medicinal herbs, etc.
You have the land, and you have bigger goals in the future.
Exactly.
Okay.
The goal and the ideal is that environment and that space is specifically for children of the universe. Mm-hmm. So no matter what the age, it doesn't matter. There is no such thing as a handicap, right? So it should be accessible to all humans, no matter what the ethnicity, race, whatever you identify with. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all animals. Even if there's an alien and he's not human, but he has feelings and a soul, that person or that soul deserves the same treatment, no matter what. So I believe that nature, at the end of the day, and in Puerto Rico, we are full of nature. Thank God, it's one of the only. It's easy to forget
that here in the metro area.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to forget that, because
that's, like, anywhere though.
Yeah, I think, like, what was cool was when I came here in the first time I lived here in my early 20s, and, like, my cousins were taking me everywhere. I really saw how beautiful Puerto Rico was, and, like, how much there is to see here. And how much there is to do here, but it's just nature here. And then so many people here think that, like, there's not a lot to do here, or like, and I'm like, there's like endless things to do.
Yeah, that's like an instigate, like, who, what?
I think
most locals say that.
I think if you, like, love nature, like, then this is a beautiful, perfect place to be. I think the people that haven't learned to appreciate the nature here are the people that might be even more tired of living here, because imagine living here and then not enjoying the nature. Like, for me,
we're tired of the politics, and I think we've grown accustomed and what's it called, taken for granted. We're taking for granted what we have at this point, because we want more. The grass is always greener. Sorry, continue.
Well, what do you mean you want more? I don't, like,
I think the Puerto Ricans, right, I can empathize that want out. But it's a human nature to always believe that the grass is always greener. So that American dream is still alive in the Puerto Rican people. And so we believe that if we escape to the States... Now, I already went to the States and I came back. So I believe that at some point. It was an underlying hint. Everybody was like, well, if you're still here, then you haven't succeeded. Right?
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that attitude here.
So I can rebuttal that and be like, well, I left. And what is success, right?
Exactly, and I think that's like
Nature.
why, like, when people think that, like, some of us from the United States come and move here, they think of us as privileged almost already, because, and yes, we are in some ways, obviously, in a lot of ways. Like,
You were born successful.
definitely. But it's almost like, yeah, almost like, or even the other day, like, there was someone who I was talking to, and I was telling them, like, they were like, oh, what are you doing on Christmas? And I was like, oh, I'm working, and they were like, oh, me too. And they were like, they said something where they were like, oh, but at least you can do that from home. Like, they automatically assumed that I was working online. And I'm like, it's a lot of assumptions to make about a person just from looking at me. I understand a lot. That is probably what most maybe not most, I don't know, but I know a lot of Americans, especially if you don't speak Spanish, that's probably what you're doing, is getting an online job here. Even when I've talked about it in videos online, that's the suggestion that people give. They're always like, well, just get a job online, it's just easy, which also it's not easy. But if you are able to get an online job and somehow still work it as you come here, great, whatever, I guess. But I understand how people think that, like, that makes you more privileged or whatever, and it does. Like, especially if you make an hourly wage amount from what they're making in the States and then live here.
Right.
But I'm making the same amount as every other person here, and I'm making probably less than a lot of other Puerto Ricans here, you know, because they've been here longer, they're bilingual, they have more job opportunities. Like, my job opportunities here are very limited. So yeah, I've seen that there's like this attitude of like yeah, the American dream is moving over there, and maybe that's why so many people do that. But then they get frustrated and they're like, I just want to go back to Puerto Rico, because they realize that they already had it here. And that's the message I'm trying to preach so hard here, is like, no, you have it here.
That's right,
I know you think that we're so privileged and that we have such a great life and that we're all sitting on pillows, but like, that might be the case for a lot of Americans, sure, but that's not the case for a lot of Puerto Rican Americans, like Puerto Ricans living in the States. Because we don't need to break in every single video apart the term American, but Puerto Ricans living in the States, then like, that's not the dream. Like, this is the dream, and I've been trying to iterate that to people, like, you guys got it here. So, I'm more happy here. I'm more happy here, and I can barely pay my bills. And I'm more happy here because I can be with nature and I can spend time. The vibration here is different. It's just different.
That's the thing, exactly. What's your definition of success, right? Right, it might not be the most financially viable place, but at this point in this economy, really nowhere is.
Right.
So that is a struggle that is universal at this point.
Unless you make good money, that's your reality everywhere right now in the world.
Right. So I think when you focus on the natural resources, right, you realize how abundant this island is, and it always has been, because there's a difference between the social stigmatisms, right? Of course, everybody in this gang mentality, this mob mentality, is believing in the exact same thing of the American dream. And then when you're in America, you realize you have to be asleep to believe this, right? That's why they call it a dream. It's an American dream. You got to be asleep to believe it. I don't remember who said that, but it resonated with me. Mm-hmm. So when I came back, it just gave me all that much more confidence that people might not be able to value and recognize this, but that doesn't take away the value. So as a human being in this society, if you are looking to improve upon yourself, if you are looking to enjoy yourself in this reality, right, I would always recommend to come to Puerto Rico, not for the historical stuff, even though it's beautiful to educate oneself, but to just be in nature, anywhere that you can, especially Puerto Rico. I was about
to say, because there are differing views on tourism here, and I don't think I have all the answers, but I can share my opinion, and then I'd like to hear yours. Like, I think that having a lot of Americans with no heritage here come for vacation here could maybe not be the best thing for Puerto Rico, but I don't know. Other people say it supports the economy and all these things, and then other people I see saying, we don't need tourism, we can be fine without tourism. And honestly, I do believe Puerto Rico can be fine without tourism if the right systems are in place. Right now, from my perspective, it seems that some of the systems in place need tourism.
Right.
But that's not a result of that Puerto Rico can't survive on its own without tourism. That's just a result of the fucking influence of the United States here. So, like, I believe that tourism, sure, could be a thing, but it could be more on Puerto Rico's terms if the United States had less of an influence here. So, and then I'll finish up my little thing about tourism before I get too off topic, because I really want to go into that too, but like, whoop, let me reel it back to tourism. Exactly, let me reel it back into tourism. So tourism, I think that what I like tourism-wise here, though, is Puerto Ricans coming and connecting with their heritage. I like that because I think that can teach them. First of all, hopefully they come here with a respect. Hopefully they come here and they have family members here, so they come here with a certain respect. So they're coming here and connecting more with the culture, instead of coming here and putting their culture in and saying, themselves. You need to play crappy pop music everywhere. They're the people that want to come and listen to the salsa, listen to the bachata, listen, I like some pop music, but I'm not a huge fan of all of it. But yeah, like, I'm just making a generalization of, like, we don't want to hear music from the States here in Puerto Rico, where the cultural music is a huge part of the culture.
I love that song.
Okay, so we're back with Coquito, because it did finally melt from it being in my freezer. So, Michael.
Should I stand up?
No, please enjoy, sit. Hey, cheers to being a Boricua. It's a good Christmas to be here in Puerto Rico. So blessed to be here, and blessed to be here with you. Thank you, Michael, for being here on Christmas Eve.
Amen.
Cheers. Feliz Navidad. Now it needs to be colder. Now it needs to be much colder. Does it taste bad?
No, it's good.
Is it bad?
No, it's good. It needs to be a little bit colder. I think...
Did it turn?
I'm used to a shot. So you gave me a little bit more than a shot.
It tasted weird. Don't you think so?
That's just because it's warm.
Okay. I wish I had ice. I put it in the freezer because I wanted us to be able to have a shot, and it was warm when you got here. Like, I had left it out. So I was like, let me put it in the freezer.
Too quick.
And then it was too cold, and then I put it outside, and then it's too warm.
Too warm.
It's like... With Coquito, it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Goldilocks and the No, yeah, Coquito is not easy.
It's gotta be, you gotta have it cold or on ice. But honestly, on ice, because of the milk, it's kind of thick. It's really better with ice, I think. Like, if you sip it on ice. Anyways, Coquito is a holiday staple,
Tell me about Coquito.
I was actually going to ask you to tell me about what you think about Coquito.
Puerto Rican eggnog.
That's a good way to put it.
But it's not with eggs. It's with coconut and condensed coconut milk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're vegan and you don't like eggs, it's a good alternative.
Yeah. It's to celebrate, really.
It's one of the best tasting rums.
Yeah.
So if you are an alcoholic, then you could drink it at any moment in the year. Yeah,
but like, it's like not. I feel like most people only preserve for the holidays, kind of like eggnog, just because it's like a drink that you have on a special occasion. Oh, we talked about we were talking about faith, and like I do see. Yeah, I want to touch on faith for a second because like I think that faith in general is a huge thing that makes up a culture. So whether that means like religion or spirituality, but also like the faith that you have as like a person. So like how much you believe in yourself, how much you believe in other people, how much faith that you can have, not just like in God, but in like whatever higher power that there is.
In yourself. In
yourself, yeah. In that part in yourself, like having that faith, having that strength that everything will always come through. And to me, that is a huge part of being Boricua, that I've seen that flows through the Boricua culture, is that preservation, is that, or that perseverance, that that desire to pride, but that desire to preserve, you know, and to keep going, and like faith in like the work that you're doing, that it's gonna pan out for the best.
Absolutely. Yes, and I don't know where I saw it. It was probably one of those Instagram inspirational quotes or something. But it was, regardless, you're going to struggle. It doesn't have to be suffering, but you have to struggle, right? So you can struggle to be overweight, or you could struggle to be fit. Either way, it's going to be hard work. Mm-hmm. You could struggle to stay at home and do nothing, or you could struggle to... It takes effort, no matter what it is that you're deciding to do. So it's your option, and you have that freedom. Thank God. And, you know, in this country, for now, we have that freedom of choice, even though there's a lot of coercion in the media, right?
Freedom of choice for some things, for some people.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So it's not really that free. But
there's the illusion of freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we want to call it a free country,
freer than others,
relatively. Yeah. Relatively free.
Grateful for the freedoms that we have, for sure, but I recognize there, especially now, are a lot more things happening in our political and cultural climate, both in the United States and here in Puerto Rico. Right. Obviously, everything that happens in the States ripple effects here. So we're just gonna see it in like different ways. I've noticed like a lot of people in the States. Hold on. I've noticed a lot of people in the States that are active about the ICE raids and things. They don't understand that that's happening here too. It's happening here in Puerto Rico too, actually, to the Dominican people. Like, I mean, to other groups too, but mostly to the Dominican people. So I know that actually that leads me to like, I know that you're friends with a lot of Dominican people here. So why do you feel like, okay, I don't want to put like, I'm just jumping into, because I know we've already talked about these things.
Right.
So can I just say that you've shared something with me, right? Can I share
Yes,
it?
absolutely.
That you feel more comfortable sometimes being friends with Dominican people here. But not necessarily more comfortable, but like it seems like you make those friends easier, or how do you want to put that, and what you want to talk about that a little bit?
Right. That is a sensitive topic. So I don't believe that it's about anything. It has nothing to do with skin color, ethnicity, or nothing. Their background is just one of the many little things that are part of their personality. But it just so happens to be 9 out of 10 times these, quote, off-the-boat Dominicans, right, are extremely humble. Extremely humble. Mm-hmm. So one is to think, right, why? Right? Because I don't like to generalize. I don't like to believe in the stigma or the social norms of what is, right? Because that is prejudging. That's judging someone before you know them. So I took it upon myself to actually get to know the people that I value in my life. So these human beings that just so happen to be Dominican, very commonly, 9 out of 10 times, they're humble, right? So I wanted to figure out why these demographic of people are a little bit more humble than average, right? And it's usually a connection with God, right? And then the common experience that they've had growing up. So poverty has nothing to do with it, right? Because everybody in every demographic has, if you lived it, you lived it, period. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whatever. You lived it. There's no question. So I don't like to put anybody in a category, but it just seems as though the people who are closest to nature, the people who are closest to that humble poverty lifestyle, no, I just think it's having faith, knowing that maybe tomorrow you're not going to have bread.
Exactly. I think that's what creates the faith.
Exactly.
I think the reason why not everybody is there is because there's a lot of people who won't even recognize, well, a lot of white people specifically in the United States that won't recognize that black people do undergo more that racism is real, that all of these things that do affect their daily lives are real. They want to pretend like it's not real. So then I think like it just becomes a focus of like, okay, well, it is actually very real for us.
It's a whole other battle.
So exactly, I don't think it's like a... Some Black Americans I've noticed don't care about the trials of Latino people, but from what I've seen, they mostly do. They mostly do. It just might not be as loud, but they do care. And I've seen it, especially now with the stuff happening with ICE. There's a group of Black Americans that I've seen that are like, fuck them. They don't stand with us all the time, so why the fuck would I stand with them? But then there are most of the people that I see that go the other way, that are like, no, this is not right, this is fucking injustice, and we're gonna stand with them. So either way, I just think that people have a right to be upset about things that are upsetting. Like, like all around. Latino people have a reason to be upset, and Black people have a reason to be upset.
Don't let it be a reason to cause divide.
Yes, and don't let it rule your life. Don't let like what you've been through or your people have been through
limit your identity.
Exactly. Because it's very limiting to your identity when you identify with tragedy, when you identify with struggle. Like,
it happened, of course. Yeah. And it's valid.
Yeah.
But you are bigger than that as a human being. Every human being, ideally, has the capacity to overcome it. And of course, it's not obviously that simple. It's easier said than done, of course.
Yeah. On my page, I talk a lot about some of the stuff I've been through. And it's not because I'm holding on to it. It's just because I realized that those are the words that I needed to hear when I was in those places. And when people leave comments and they're like, oh, thank you so much, like, it's so good to see your story, or, oh, I feel the same way, I didn't know anybody else was feeling that way. Like, that's why I do that, because I'm like, oh, I needed that when I was there, and I didn't have that. A lot of those really, really hard times, I thought I was all alone. And
never.
No,
you're never alone.
Exactly. And you and I have talked about that, about how, like, you know, maybe we were feeling alone until we started to meet other people that felt this way, that felt like an outsider within our own culture.
And that just fortifies the faith, that full circle, that the faith in yourself, right? Because the fact is that you manifested, you somehow were compatible with this person. So when you hear nurturing energy from this person, you realize that you deserve it. But
you're talking,
at the end of the day, we need to give ourselves these nurturing energies. Like, it's great to have support systems, but at the end of the day, sometimes people aren't privy to having like-minded friends, you know? So even without those friends, we still have to find that joy and that voice that perpetuates our motivation.
Sure, we have to find peace within ourselves, but I think what you were talking about earlier was relating to Dominican people more, being able to connect with them more sometimes, because they have a more humility, they can relate to you more, because you're both different, because you're not from, you are from here, but it's almost a feeling of not being like fully accepted.
I feel as though that's more of a political thing, right? Because it's not necessarily a Puerto Rican culture.
Let's talk about it.
So from my experience, this connection that I feel with these, quote, outsiders, right? Because that is what we're relating to as an outsider. They come to this country not understanding 100% the culture. And so they, of course, feel a little bit ostracized. And there is a lot of reservation in the Puerto Rican people for anybody and everybody.
This is what I'm saying, because they're close to the culture. They're actually closer to the culture, I would say, than you and I. Like, especially me. Like, you being born and raised here, but I know that you, like as we talked about, have been raised with a little bit more of an Americanized culture in your household. Yeah. So, like, and me literally being born and raised in the United States, like, I would say that someone from the Dominican Republic that moves here is closer to the islander Puerto Rican culture than me when it comes to the practices of the culture. But yet they still feel that ostracization. And what I've noticed, and what I think, and what I've talked about in some of my videos recently, is it goes back to the colorism here. There is a huge amount of colorism here because, and outsider culture, but it does go back to the skin color. A lot of people don't want to admit that, depending on how light or dark you are. And from what I've noticed, it can happen on both sides of the spectrum. If you're very light, you can get treated a certain way, and if you're very dark, you can get treated a certain way. If you're very dark, you can get treated in a very racist way here, and especially in the United States, especially in the States. But people here want to pretend like they're not going to treat Dominican people racist, when I've seen white Puerto Ricans, or however you want to say, like Puerto Ricans with lighter skin, treating darker skinned people here that are likely Dominican. Like, I don't always know, but that I'm like, okay, from the accent and things, I think this person's Dominican, and I can see them being treated differently. Like, I might not always understand the little nuances, but to me, I'm like, I can kind of see that they are being treated differently. So, what about parrandas? We were talking about parrandas.
Una parranda. So basically that's a parade, right? But it's more like a Christmas carol. It's kind of deep in our culture of getting everybody together in the community, right? So if it's a neighborhood or whatever, you start walking to one neighbor and you wake them up. Hey, what are you doing asleep? Come on, let's hang out. Let's all enjoy the time. Basically, it's because it's also an era thing. It's part of the change in year and season. So you want to check back into your neighbors, because that's part of the culture, is to always be in connection with your fellow human being, Puerto Rican, Boricua, lo que sea. You want to be connected with them, with your family, your close humans that are gonna help you in times of struggle, right? At the end of the day, we all need support. So I believe that's deeply embedded in our culture, is that we need to get together.
I was asking you about your experience with parrandas. Okay. Have you participated in any, like...
So as a modern Puerto Rican, I could say that parrandas are a little bit rare nowadays. They're a little
I've noticed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not as common.
Yeah.
But it's a big, deep-rooted part of our culture that we need to perpetuate.
So you have or you have not participated in one?
I have, luckily, been privileged and blessed that in my neighborhood in Naguabo, there wasn't a parranda, but there was a bus, right? And I don't know what people, where they were from, but for some reason these people would come in on their bus, and they would throw little goodies at our house, right? For special occasions, usually once a year. After a while, I don't remember that bus coming back, unfortunately. But I know that it's a powerful part of our culture that continues to live on.
Say things and they do it because they're trying to help. And some people say things and they're doing it because they're trying to be an asshole.
It's
they're trying to make
superiority complex.
It's a superior, exactly. Like, I know more than you, I'm more Puerto Rican than you. And, like, it's less annoying to me when it comes from somebody that's born and raised here. It's more annoying to me when it comes from somebody,
superiority complex.
Exactly. But I mean, with being connected to Puerto Rican culture, it's more annoying, even so more to me, than when somebody in the diaspora does that to me. Because I'm like, we are literally the same. And actually, like, a lot of... I brag sometimes, but sorry, a lot of these people, I do speak more Spanish than. Not everybody, but a few people. And I'm like, how are you going to, just because you might look more Puerto Rican than me, but at the end of the day, I could say, well, I'm more connected to Puerto Rican culture because almost my whole side of my dad's family lives here. Like, literally, almost the whole side lives here, except for a few family members that also moved to the States besides my dad. So, like, my dad's whole side is from here versus other people who have had generations in New York but might speak Spanish fluently. So, like, there's... I do. So there's more there. We don't need to, like, be like, oh, I'm more Puerto Rican because of this, or I'm more Puerto Rican because of that.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why I want to start lying to people. Like, and I'm not actually going to do this, but I'm going to start jokingly, I'm going to start lying to people and telling them that I was born here and I left when I was 2, just because people will treat me less like shit if I tell them that. And that's wild.
An unfortunate reality.
Yeah. Like, as if I control where I was born, right? And then other people use that as a reason to be more a part of things. Well, I was born here, So I might have went to the States when I was 2, but now I'm back, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get that you're born here, yeah, but like, for example, my dad is from here, so like, why? So does that make me more Puerto Rican than somebody who's both their parents are from New York, you know, but they have 2 Puerto Rican parents and I only have 1? Well, who's more Puerto Rican than 2 Puerto Rican parents, someone that's living in New York, and me who has 1 Puerto Rican parent but they're from the island?
It's a horrible comparison that is unnecessary.
Exactly. It's not even a comparison that should be made. It's like, why are we splitting hairs so much? Like,
and it's sad that people force developing humans, right, to think that way, right? Because at some point we were young, right? We were children fortifying our youth, and that's not something to really be focused on. Salud, dinero y amor.
It's still not cold enough. It's disappointing. It's okay. It still needs ice.
It tastes like liquefied flan.
It kind of does. Well, it's been fun talking to you. What else do we want to talk about? Anything else? Oh, wait. I know one thing that I want to get, because the alarm on the last video went out like... it was like boing, boing. So I didn't get to hear all your information. So I did put it in the posts, but I want to say it out loud. So your Instagram is going to be at like @ __MCMK___, correct?
Correct.
And then on Facebook,
It's just Michael Kelly.
just Michael Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Yunque Eco Habitats.
And that's the page, is called Yunque Eco Habitats? Okay.
Yes, that's the bed and breakfast.
Perfect. And can people get a space there now if they wanted to?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's on Airbnb, okay.
We're
Support a
offering
local.
Christmas specials.
Christian? Oh,
That was me
I know.
misspeaking.
Okay. I was like, you have to be Christian.
That
Okay.
was me misspeaking. Christmas specials
Okay.
for Yunque Eco Habitats.
Cool. And anything else that you find important that you want people to connect with you about? Like, is there anything that, like, today, if people connected to you for a service, you are ready to provide that service, and what would that be?
Absolutely. If you're looking for an adventure in Puerto Rico, I'm always here. Involve Yunque Eco Habitats directly.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays. Cheers.
Cheers!
Enjoy your coquito.
Amén.